a Belizean.
Tell them that we bonded.
Yo bande, yo bande.
Tell them that we bonded.
Yo bande, yo bande. I am a true Belizean.
Tell them that we bonded.
Belize my home, my native land.
Tell them that we bonded.
I want you people to understand.
Tell them that we bonded.
I am proud to be a Belizean. I am a true Belizean.
Tell them that we bonded.
Belize my home, my native land.
Tell them that we bonded.
I want you people to...
Welcome to another episode of Navel String Connections. I'm BILAL Morris, live from Belize, with my host, ARIA LIGHTFOOT, co-host ARIA LIGHTFOOT, live from out of Florida, our usual space and platform, where this show is broadcasted on a weekly basis. And we have a very interesting show, educational show, exciting show for us today. With the one and only Ernesto Castillo, our guest for today, joining us. And Ernesto Castillo has no introduction. Many people remember the Consul General of Los Angeles, the Belize Consul General of Los Angeles, in the Price administration from 1989 to 1993. Ernesto, correct me if you may, if I. And again, we want to invite you, the viewers and listeners, across the Belizean diaspora, in the United States, United Kingdom, and wherever Belizeans reside, living outside of Belize itself. And we want to invite our listening audience in Belize itself. Like right now, I'm on the ground, and Belize is a very exciting place. I was able to attend the Belize Music Project, which was very, very well supported, very successful, and we hope soon to bring on one of those organizers, or maybe the director of the Belize Music Project, right on Navel String Connection. Again, this is a Creme Television production, and we want to thank our brother Harlan in the studio behind the control. I won't wait till Leanna Tal. And big up Harlan. And again, Aria, I want to take it right to you to introduce our guest, the man in the waiting, Ernesto Castillo.
Thank you. I want to say thank you for doing that introduction. Bilal, very jealous here in Belize. Thank you very much, Mr. Castillo, for joining us tonight. XTV production, our hosts, Bilal, myself, and we have Noor Mohammed as our producer, Harlan on the back end. So, Mr. Castillo, I don't give you one heads up. I'm very excited to have you on tonight. And what we do with all our guests, we start off by asking them about their navel string connection to Belize. And I know you're deeply buried.
Alert from updates available.
So, let's start with where you grew up and tell us a little bit about growing up in Belize and why you migrated, or at what age you migrated to the United States.
I'm a very passionate Belizean. I mean, as passionate as someone can be. And I was born in Corozal, but as a very young child, I don't even remember when we moved to Belize City, because our parents were custom officers, and so we keep moving around. And so we end up growing up in Belize City. We were on the south side, corner of Prince and Plus, by the canal side, right close to CBA. And incidentally, Noor Mohammed grew up right across the street from me, so we have a long history going back. Okay. Climbing up Hamad's tree and, eating mango and salt, and slap the salt in your face and all kind of things may go on. So we also have, several brothers that grew up along with me, and Nuri know all of them, and so we have a really exciting history going back. Next thing you know, Hati is coming. Oh, before that, we attended St. Ignatius School. went to St. Ignatius, and I had a good time going at St. Ignatius School. You know, the students, the teachers. This is true. Before Hati, I used to sell billboards.
Wow.
I used to sell billboards, and I go out by market.
Boy.
Yeah, you go out by market and sell billboards, and then after I finish selling the billboard, I'll take some of the profit and I'd buy a quart of pepitos.
I want to tell people to where the market was, because when you say go to market, I think about Michael Finnegan Market.
The market used to be I'll call it the Grand Central Market, right by Bridgefoot.
Yes.
Bridgefoot and Albert Street. And we used to love that market. I mean, you could stand on the bridge and see all the boats as they're coming in, and you could see the fish them jumping up, and it was a really great market. I'm not saying Finnegan's Market is not, it's just different. You know, you can still get a lot of stuff out there, maybe even more stuff by Finnegan because it's a bigger place.
Right.
But at the market, I'd buy the pepitos and go home and patch it and then go to school and sell it. So I used to make my lead change.
Okay.
You know, so that's part of my endeavor.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah. Then in 1961, you know, Hurricane Hattie came. That was devastating. And in 62, again,
Wait, before I hit to 62, could you tell us, from your perspective, what the hurricane was like? Like, how did it impact you? Because, you know, my mom actually grew up on South Side around the street from you. And I know she gave me a harrowing story. So tell us a little bit about that hurricane. And
well,
how
when you hear mine, you're gonna want to fall off your stool and hold your head and, you know, scream. So, I used to go to out district for vacation, right? So I went to Orange Walk, and me and my cousin, we were riding horses, and we had a couple of horses accident, and we both fell off the horse because we beat the horse. We ride the horse bareback in Belize that the way, you know, little kids, 11 years old riding these horses bareback. So we fell off the horse like 2 times, and I started getting a fever. They sent me to Belize City, back home, and my legs started swelling up. And my mom said, "Man, we got to take you to the clinic." So they took me to the clinic, and they put me in the hospital, the Belize City Hospital. And so I was in there from September 8th until after Hattie. So just so you know, I'm getting to the Hattie part.
And in the front of the sea took us back then.
We were in the sea. The children's ward was in the sea on stilts. And we didn't have much warning that Hattie was coming, but we did find out later on. And next thing you know, the hurricane coming in the middle of the night, and it started breaking up the hospital. The zinc from the roof was slamming up and down, and the walls were breaking up, and the children are still in the room, in the ward, the children's ward, and we had to rush out of there. I had this priest, you might not know about this, I don't know if BILAL knows, but there's a priest in Belize that had a plastic forehead.
I heard about him. Yeah.
He spent the night in the hospital with us, and when he looked, and everybody said, "Let's get out," and I was left behind because I had a big heavy cast on my leg, and he grabbed me and took me out the hurricane, and we went into the females room, and as soon as they get the females room, the whole children ward broke up.
Oh, wow.
Broke up and washed away as soon as we got out. Now we're in the female ward, and the same thing started to happen. The roof was banging, the walls are falling down, breaking up, the rain's pouring in. Everybody said, "Rush out, let's get out," and they're rushing out again, and I was the last one. Again, the same priest came, got me out, and as we got out, the whole female ward broke off, washed into the ocean. And
How old were you? How old were you at the time?
I was 11.
Okay.
So I remember really well.
Traumatic.
Say it again?
Very traumatic.
Oh yes, yeah, very traumatic, and so what happened was, after that we were safe because it took us all the way in, right? Half of the hospital was washed away. broken up. And I know a lot of people were going around and saying, "Oh, the hospital gone, the hospital broke up, the hospital washed away." It was half truth. Half of the hospital did break up, and we almost got killed. And luckily, no one got killed. And to make the story real short now, they sent me to Corozal to make room for people that were injured in Haiti. And when I reached Corozal, as we got there, there was a Mexican doctor there, and he looked at my leg and he said, "Take him straight to the operating theater." So they took me in there, he performed surgery, he drained my foot of bruised blood that was turning. And
Yeah.
he said, if you had waited any longer,
Yeah,
probably,
Green.
yeah. So,
When you told me about that story when I wrote the piece on Haiti.
yeah,
I wrote this piece here on Haiti, and you called me up and you were telling me about this very story.
yeah.
Said, I hope that I think you have written about the story too, haven't you?
I wrote about it, I wrote about it. I wrote a very lengthy, when I say lengthy, I mean the details, but not too very long, because people like exciting stuff. People like to read and get the full gist of everything, without having to read too much. And
How did
anyway,
your parents, like, because I'm thinking if they heard the hospital washed away, they themselves might have been traumatized with you being in the hospital.
yeah, my mom was in shock, and she wanted to swim through the high water to go to the hospital to look for me.
Wow.
And they told her, no, they're okay, nobody got killed, Then
Yeah,
she
good.
kind of calmed down a little bit, and they got saved at CBA, because
Right.
CBA was a big van house, back in those days.
And I don't know, well, I guess a lot of Belizeans know, but about 3,000 people lost their lives, right? It was
Yeah.
a
Hmm.
serious amount of people. Because I know my granduncle lost his youngest 2-year-old in Haiti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the way from Belize City to Dangriga and everything in between. Mullins River was washed away. I know a lot of people that died in Mullins River, because I spent a summer vacation that same summer there before I went to Orange Walk in Mullins River, and I stayed with some people, and like 5 of them got killed, that
Yeah.
I was with. And Malante, washed away also. A lot of people got killed. So I think it was very devastating. And
A lot of Belizeans left Belize, and that's when the traction really started to the US, right? Because of Haiti.
right. Because of Haiti, some had already left before. I think Nuri said he left just before.
Yeah.
But a lot of people left after Haiti. They had the opportunity to leave, and they left.
Yeah.
And then right then in 1962, they transferred us to Punta Gorda. And in Punta Gorda, or that, again, he was a custom officer. He was in charge of the boat. So we used to travel to Barranco, Criquesarco, all the little areas, Monkey River,
So
to
you
go
have
save
a
people.
cultural infusion of Belize, because you have one perspective of Belize most of us don't have. Like, most of us grew up in our area of Belize.
Yeah.
That's mostly what we know unless we travel. But you there from Corozal to Belize City to PG. Like, what
And
was that experience like for you?
it was great, because we end up having 2 great friends. They were Garifuna, and one became like our brother, right? And the other one became like our sister. They were older than me, and they were really attached to us. So we spent a whole year in PG. During the 19th, we dance and sing and, do the. Back then, it wasn't called Punta, right?
What was it called? I'm interested.
I don't remember exactly what it was called back then, but I know it was called, Drankuno dancing, but they
Okay.
also
Right.
the hip movements,
So what age did you leave Belize? Like, what caused you to leave?
Okay, so we went back to Belize City in 1963, and I went to school. I went to St. Joseph, and then I went to St. John's College. And my parents and family, they were going back and forth to the States, and to Belize City, and so I had the opportunity to leave. My mom was in New York at the time, and she told me, "Why don't you come to New York and meet us there?" I said, "Okay." I tell her, but I'm gonna pass through LA first, right? So I was only 20 years old. I had just turned 20. I just graduated, and I came through LA, met some friends and cousins and some people here, and I said, "Wow." I didn't think of the word diaspora then, but when I say it was, I met some members of the diaspora from the
Right.
early stages, and I
Did they ever
decided
make it to New York?
just back and forth, never
Okay.
never to live, never to stay.
But you
You know,
touched down at LA and loved it.
I loved it, and I stayed here. I made LA my home, and I've been here for 54 years.
Oh, wow.
Since 1970. I came in 1970. I've been here since then. I was fortunate enough to get a good job immediately,
Right.
and I stayed with it, and the passion, the Belizean passion, the navel string was still burning, and they had some Belizean functions, some dances, and then they had a little what they call a day in the park in Jesse Owens. Bilal knows about that. They had a day in the park around September time, right? At that time it was 10th of September because we didn't get independence yet.
Right, right.
So we used to have this day in the park, and I said, "Oh, I like this." I talked to some of the organizers, and I told them I like this. I'd like to participate. I'd like to, come and help you guys out. And they invited me, and next thing you know, I got in there, got hooked, and started doing things and started promoting the functions. We took it from a day in the park to a big major function with thousands and thousands of people.
So,
my-
as an organizer from the beginning, because you were one of the first organizations, I believe, that were so big with the Belize diaspora. How did you organize back then? Whenever Facebook, whenever have, well, a lot of the technology that makes it easier. So how did you do it back then?
I'm glad you asked that question, because back at that time, it was word of mouth, who you know, and so the group was small, and when people come, they would ask them to write the name and address down, and they would be collecting it on these papers. And when I joined the group and we were having a function, and I saw they took out all these papers and they're writing on the envelope, each name, hundreds of names. I said, "What? We have to sit down and write all of them there?" And it says yes, and we didn't have any choice. At that time, we decided to just go ahead and write it, right? And I said, "You know what? I'm in the computer business, so I designed a program, a labeling program,
Okay.
and Bilal knows about this. I designed a label program and started collecting names, and I had people at my work helping me, right? I said, "Man, key these in, name, address," and it was driven by name and address.
So how did you mailed out letters, or you
We
guys
used to mail out letters.
and that was by handwriting. I just want people to think about
By handwriting.
Yes.
By handwriting, we used to mail out some, but we got.
But
we
you
got
had the
an
labeling
upgrade.
machine, right? Or you mean that you were a computer tech? You were an IT guy. Did you use like the little labels that you just stick on the envelope rather than writing them?
Yeah, I would. We would enter all the name and addresses, and these people were input operators, so they would be able to type it in fast,
Right.
and they put it in the name field and the address and so on. We would sort it by city, and so we started collecting a lot. The next thing you know, I had a couple thousand people in LA, and so when we having a big function, and we upgraded it to having tents for all the vendors. We had booths for the children, games. We had different type of amusement thing like little merry-go-round and stuff. And so, of course, there was costs associated with that. So we used to charge a minimal amount, maybe
Right.
like $5 or $10, at the most. and people would be coming, man, and that place was so crowded, you know, and we'd fill a stadium big, and it's a U.S. United States stadium where they do track and field,
Right.
Dorsey, and we used to fill that stadium. You see nothing but a sea of
Oh,
Belizeans.
but Ernie, before Dorsey, didn't that started out at Jesse Owens Park?
Yes, we did the day in the park at Jesse Owens.
Jesse Owens. I remember
Yeah.
going to the Jesse Owens one in 1983. It was first time ever.
Yeah.
I was new in Los Angeles
Yeah.
in the States period, and I remember going to that. So I know what you're talking about. It was a massive crowd indeed.
Yeah. But
So
then
how many people do you estimate used to go to those events?
I would say more than 5,000
Oh wow.
back in those days, and that was a lot of people.
Still a
And
lot
so,
of people.
yeah, we used to ask people, we used to ask everyone used to estimate. So back in the 80s, we would say, man, we got more than 50,000 Belizean here in LA, just in the LA area.
Right.
Not including New York or Chicago or Florida or those places. And so we upgraded, and then next thing you know, here comes the consortium.
Okay.
Oh,
So what was
Why-
the idea behind the consortium?
while I was with CBA, Concerned Belizean Association, I became the president.
Okay, what is the Concerned Belize Association? Like, what was your mission?
Our mission was to help Belizeans who were having problems, in times of disaster. We were doing scholarships. We were helping the hospitals, and those were the major stuff. But what we were doing is getting all the people to be able to interact together, bring the cultural dancers. Because we had a lot of dancers, Garifuna dancers. We had the Creole dancers and all the musicians, all the bands. We had all these bands who were trying to get up there and play, and so the bands, they got exposure, and it was really wonderful back then. I used to love it. And again, we did the same thing with, as far as people at the gate. We had them fill out the form, and as they were filling out these forms, I have my people then typing it up, making up a data file. It's a data file with name. It was name driven.
And I'm curious, where is that database today?
Well, it sort of became obsolete because of the change from the from the IBM mainframe system to the Microsoft high tech. We don't even use disk anymore. Back then, we used to use floppy disk.
Yeah, I remember floppy disk days.
We used floppy disk.
Yeah.
And
the computer.
yeah.
So,
And-
so then you move from that to consort. So you move from a group that was designed to help Belize in times of crisis to Consortium for Belize. What's the name? Correct name?
Consortium for Belizean Development.
Consortium for Belizean Development. So why was this group formed?
It was formed because we had several organizations in Los Angeles. We had, like I said, CBA, from Belizean. We had the Heritage. We had the Berta Group. We had a couple of Garifuna group. We had different groups. We had groups in New York. We had groups in Chicago. We had groups in Florida. And so Dr. Leng, a great man. I just love to hear him speak, So Dr. Edward Leng, he came up with this great idea. He was the ambassador then, and he was an international lawyer, as you know, and proposed to us, proposed to Mr. Golson, proposed to a lot of heavyweight people, and said, hey, why don't we have a consortium for Belizean development where we can have all the groups join, all the people that want to join. We can have an executive board. We'll have presidents, executive vice president. We'll have a regional vice president. we'll have executive board members and then just regular members. And so everyone loved the idea, and I did too. And at that time, I was representing CBA. You know, we talked about it, and they said, Ernesto, you got to represent us. You know, let's go.
Right.
I said, okay. So I went and we started having some major functions too, right? And next thing you know, I say, oh, we have a big function. Okay, I have something for you guys. I brought out a mailing list of about 5,000. All
Whoa.
about
That list
five.
would be gold right now. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but we're gonna get diamonds in a little while.
Okay. Okay.
So that list, we used to use that when we have major events, and so the consortium was kind of like roving, you know, went different places, and I went from a regular board member to regional vice president. Then I'm a very go-get-it person. I want to get it done. I'll take it to another level.
Right.
You know, you need something done, let's do it. I'll lead this, you know. And so I was voted the executive vice president, and Lloyd McKeesey was voted the president. Now, before Lloyd, we had, like I said, Dr. Leng was the first president. Then we had Dr. Lennox Pike, another dynamic person. I used to love Dr. Pike too, you know. And so with Lloyd was great, but he loved the idea that I was his vice president because he knew I would do a lot of things for him, you know. Whatever he need done, I got it done. You know, when Hurricane Andrew
I
in
remember
92,
Andrew.
in
I remember
92, right?
Andrew. I literally was traveling back home, and
Yeah.
my flight was the last flight before they shut off all flights
Yeah.
to go back to Belize. I remember that one.
So when Andrew hit Florida and it devastated a lot of people got killed, a lot of injuries, a lot of homes, a lot of Belizeans were affected by it, you know, and Belizeans were really, some were hurt, their homes broken up, and they needed help. And so I was able to encourage the consortium board, say, let's have a general meeting, let's have it in Florida so we can go help those people, right? So we went to Florida, had a general meeting, we raised funds, and we assisted the people that were affected, the Belizeans that were affected by Hurricane Andrew. And that was one of the things that I was very proud about, because I kind of like almost single-handedly spearhead that to make it happen.
Right. And it should be something you're proud of, because that's significant, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when we also decided we were going to uplift the bicycle races during Holy
Okay.
Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
Holy Saturday.
Yes. Easter.
And we had a huge trophy that we took down, and I believe it was like $1,000. We said we should give them some money, you know, the winner. And at that time it was Michael, what's his last name? He and his brother, they were both champions, you know.
Oh,
Michael Lewis.
Lewis.
Yeah, Michael
Yeah.
Lewis.
Big wire.
Yeah, Michael Lewis won, and I have a lot of pictures with him and with the trophies and all kinds of stuff. And that was something we were able to do, you know. And then another major project came to my mind, right? And I said, this is what I would really like to see the consortium do. Do something viable. Do something that will help Belizeans in need, you know. And I was thinking, I talked to a couple people about it, and I said, we need to do something about the mental facility in Rockville, because those people were living, you know, in terrible conditions. They weren't getting the medical care they needed. You know, the housing was really bad, and we were about to do that before some things, you know, some other stuff happened.
How long did the consortium last, like as an organization? How long did you guys last?
It went all the way to about 93. And now, you know, most people don't know what happened, why it crumbled, why it ceased to exist. And if you want to, I can tell you right now.
Yes, you got me all excited. Like,
Of course.
it's not good. Like,
Why you think you were invited and coming out of here, Mr. Man? You better tell that story.
So-
You're not going
so-
to escape.
So what happened was, I have to tell you a little story that led up to that, right? So in 1984, there were a lot of Belizeans over here. They campaigned for UDP. You know, George Price and PUP were in power. And then in 84, UDP won. You know, they came together and won. Now, I was a member at that time in 84 of the Concerned Belizean Association, CBA. So I was celebrating with everybody too, you know, And like I said, when we were kids, we used to march with Mr. Goals, up with Golson, down with Price, and
Right.
Guatemala. I didn't think that, and I didn't really understand what all that meant, but I was part of
Right.
the marching and the
I couldn't say that.
roaring.
It's cracking me up.
So, like in 1988, I got a call from my brother Tom, Tom Greenwood. He was in politics, and my mom was down there, and then Tom got in some problems with Carl Thompson. They accused him of burning his house, or,
I was growing up that time. I vaguely remember that, but I always remember believe politics
Politics
was
was
always full of drama.
Yeah, so I got a message, and they said, they told me Ernesto, Said Musa, and Ralph Fonseca would like to talk to you. I said, what?
What did I do?
For what? Why, I don't have any interaction with these people. And they were the opposition then,
Right.
So they came to LA one weekend, one Friday night, and we met at this restaurant, and they made a proposal to me that says, Ernesto, in 1984, UDP led by Roland York, Paul Warren, Pearl, Glenn Stewart, a lot of the UDP people, because CBA was predominantly UDP.
Right. And I know Glenn Stewart.
Yeah. And so, like I said, when the Prime Minister Esquivel came to LA, I had on my tuxedo and my red bow tie and my cummerbund and all that stuff, right? And I was proud. But then they tell me, what? Said and Ralph want to talk to me? And so they came and they said, man, the people in Los Angeles, the UDP people, they helped UDP win that election in 1984. And they made a lot of presentation, and they influenced the Belizeans in Belize, And it says, what we want to do, and we're asking you, you don't have to answer me right now, but we're asking you, can you side with us, form a party in Los Angeles, and start like not a revolution, but start a movement to expose, the UDP.
Like you say that, not a revolution.
Not a revolution.
I love political history because I
get exciting.
because I feel like we don't really register our political history, except more from a conversational, the same way how he is doing a music history. We really should do a political history like this, because them books when I got to the reader believes are complete nonsense.
Yeah, we need some real word of mouth experiences,
Yeah, real strategy, because this is a strategy, and I just want to say UDP and PUP coming to the diaspora want us to be involved politically But hey, on a place, on a could stay over there with it. Just now come vote. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
continue. So how
So
did you react by
this
that?
was a Friday night. I say you don't have to answer, but this will be big. We
Right.
will guide you all the step of the way. We'll tell you what to do, how to campaign, all this different stuff to do. And they said, all we need for you to join us, you will form a party, and we'll tell you the the steps, the movements that we want you to do.
Right.
Yeah, but you don't have to answer right now. When I meet with you again Sunday. It was Friday, right? 2 days went by. Called me up and I said, need to meet with you now. So
What was your first thought? Like, what was your first reaction by this proposal?
I was in shock and I was in denial, and I thought this was an impossible request. You know?
Right.
Yeah. And so in between, my brother Tom talked to me, my mom talked to me, had a couple other people talk to me. They said, Ernesto, you have the experience. You have the
So
experience.
people were saying, go ahead, like you didn't have
Yeah, they
the
were.
one
Mm-hmm.
left their people alone with their politics, kind of the other
I
side
know.
of the yeah, left their people alone with their politics.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I when they came and they talked to me and I said, Ernesto, what do you say? It's gonna be huge, man. You know, you will be important.
What kind of meal they feed you when then they try buy and they get you a nice steak dinner or that
Yeah, we had,
top sauce? Like what kind of meal
we had
you have
steak
me
and
on
seafood.
discussion with?
Yeah, good dinner, steak and seafood.
Okay, of
Take a
course.
seat.
Yeah. Surf and turf.
And the cotton,
Yeah.
yeah.
So this on the night afterwards they say, we need your answer now. And we know it's gonna be a yes. And this is a great opportunity for you. This
But
is
you
a
realize,
biggest
but Ernesto,
step.
I just want to say, you realize they don't set up Tom Greenwood, everybody else for spice it up. So they come,
Yeah.
but then we don't spice it up, But go ahead, interesting.
So
Have
I
you
was
written a book
there.
about it? Have you written anything about this?
Not really.
I really think you should after this. I think you should put your notes down
Yeah.
because it forms part of our political history, which I think is important. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. So I had a brother over here. His name was Ewart, Ewart Rabatu. He is a teacher at UB.
Okay.
And he said, I'm gonna work with you, man. Let's do it, So I told them, okay, all right, we got it. We'll do this. We'll do it. They shook my hand and everything, and they pointed a couple of people. They said, call these 4 people, yeah, they'll be part of the group. But no, you have to get the other 20, and so I formed a group, called it used to be United Belizeans of Los Angeles, but then we got to find out that someone else had that name. So
Okay.
they told us, they said, no, you can't have that name again. You got to change it. So we decided to do something a little bit more political, and we call it the Belizean Association of the People's United Party.
So there's no doubt what's
No
going
doubt.
on here.
Yeah.
You never,
Yeah.
if you're a part of the group, you know what you're in there for.
Yeah. And the acronym was Be a Pup, BAPUP.
It's a creative.
BAPUP.
Okay.
And then we had our
Revolution will not be televised.
Back then I feel like we may have more political strategy. It was more, this is my opinion about politics today, and sorry to interrupt you, but I think politics back then was more strategic and people based. It become very transactional now. It's very, very transactional, and they will not involve everybody. But go ahead, be a pump.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we formed the group. We had meetings. We told everyone what it was about, and we had a lot of people that were UDP that were friends of mine were coming after me, telling me, Ernesto, you can't do that. Roland York says, man, I can never see you do this. Why, Ernesto? Why? And I'm saying,
Colson never call you personally? Colson never call you personally?
Who?
Philip Golson, he never call you personally?
Wilson.
No, but he called me for another reason later on.
Okay.
But remember, this is a PUP group. But
Interesting, like you pick your colors as red and white tonight, but go ahead.
oh, it's kind of like a like a, it's a
You
bronze
switch back.
color, you know. It's- yeah.
I know how
So-
the Belizeans are with the colors. Yeah.
So we started having a lot of functions, big banquets and everything. I had mailing lists. We got people, sold out arenas. We had all kind of stuff going on. And we had so much money. We had a delegation, including Mr. Price, Said Musa, Glenn Godfrey. The whole crowd came to
Remember those
LA.
pictures? I think Bilal shared them, right? It's a pity
Yeah.
we did.
Those,
If I knew this, I would have asked Harlan to share those pictures because
yeah.
it's very
Well,
profound.
those ones were not. Those pictures didn't happen yet.
Oh,
This
okay.
this was before. This was while we're campaigning,
right.
right? So they
That
came
was
and
the
we had
visit, ARIA.
yeah. This was 89, 1989. So they came. The whole group came and
Belizeans first. I remember the
yeah,
logo
Belizean first. That was
because
yeah,
I was in high
Belizean.
school.
yeah.
I remember
And
it.
then, but listen to this part now. They called me and they said, Ernesto, we had our delegation was a great success. We're getting great reviews. Everyone looked like they like what's happening. He says, but now the UDP they're scrambling now and they're rushing to bring a delegation from the government, right? They were the government then.
You mean the
Everybody said,
diaspora that
well,
should be involved in Belize politics?
yeah. So they brought a delegation of the government. They were officials. And they said, this is what we're going to do, something that never been done outside the United States before. We're going to give you all the slogans, all the things them to say and to write. And you're going to make a lot of big posters and put it on big sticks and write, no police state, stop the corruption.
SIS, I think it was SIS, right?
I really enjoyed
I
the
really have because
conversation, Bridget.
I study
Yeah.
political science, so I love politics.
So they had a meeting at Jesse Owens stadium. Not the
The first
community
stadium that
center?
Belizeans met.
yeah. So they had a big meeting set up for that, right?
So they had
So-
a political meeting at this-
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, the government was going to speak, Mr. Esquivel, Dean Barrow, and several others, right? And so they said, we want you guys to line the whole way from the streets all the way down through the streets right to the stadium door.
Protest demonstration.
So politics they happen in LA.
And they said, this is the first time this will happen out here, right?
What?
And so we went ahead and we did it. We bit all the stuff and everything. And they came and they were driving through and
I don't know
they
how for the signs, how many people you had out there?
we had because we had a lot of followers, I would say we had at least 200.
200 Belizeans show up for protests.
Yeah. At
That's
least
crazy
200.
to me. What?
And what they did, they jump in their vehicles and they speed around the block and went through the back door and all of that. They're rushing through the back and so it was a big deal,
Is there any pictures or videos of this event? I hope you have some. Nobody never made it take pictures back then.
We had a couple of people who had a video and they had a camera, but they really didn't get good pictures. But I do have some. I got a whole lot of
Share
pictures.
it. Please
I have
share
a
it.
whole album,
Okay, good.
Oh.
Please share it.
So when they came and they went back, all the demonstrations and things that happen out there is being posted in Belize, on the big screen. And they're telling them this is what the LA people are doing and saying,
They're protesting the government.
before the delegation even got back.
Yeah.
I believe don't know what happened, And they said it was very, very.
Ernesto, that you are the one who turned the tide because I don't believe that me a big win. I mean, like one small raise, a thin margin, wasn't it, in 89?
Yeah,
Or was it a big
very
win?
close.
89 was a small margin.
the
So you swing the election.
yeah, we did. We swing the election when When it was time to vote, I went to Belize and I spoke on the rostrum several places, you know.
What?
I remember I
Yeah.
saw you, bro. I saw you up there. I was covering it.
And I gave some dynamic speeches, you know, because I know how to
And
put
this was
words
speeches
together.
in Belize that you were making?
Say that again?
You were making speeches in Belize?
In Belize,
So
on
you
the
were
ra-
basically a messenger from the diaspora saying, we
yes,
in LA want this new government to form.
exactly.
Okay,
All the youth, if you want job opportunities, if you want schooling opportunities, you know, mother of the children, you need help. You have to vote for a PUP government because it's not happening with the UDP. I mean,
I tell
you
you
know,
now, I take their notes to all their diaspora intervent
You
uses,
were brave. You were braver.
and they don't give me no right to vote, but go ahead.
so
Continue.
so we went on and they were mad with me, you know. Some members of the not all the members of the consortium were mad. Some were. Neville Lisbon was
Took
mad.
a lot of ring.
Yeah. Roland York was the main one. He told me to my face. He says, you know, I could never see you and George Price on the same rostrum, the same platform. And so after that, PUP won the election. They appointed me, you know, Consul General, and I used to help everybody.
You should have been given ambassadorship. I'm just saying, but go ahead.
But ARIA, I used to help everybody because when I would go to the office and there's a huge crowd, big crowd needed something, I tell everybody, I said, oh, no, I have to leave just because the crowd. I'm going to stay right here and I'll take care of everybody until there's no one left. Every day I did that. I helped people. I used to get calls from Mexico, people traveling where the people, you know, the immigration, not the immigration, the official, they stopped them, accuse them of stuff. They would call me, I would clarify it. They would have people in the customs that they would take from the airport. They said, these look like fake passports or damaged passports. Again, I would go there, look at it and get it. It didn't matter what time it was, weekends, you know. So I took care of everybody all the time.
But I do have a question. After PUP won, did they stay engaged with the diaspora, in your opinion?
Yes.
Because I feel like once they win, it's almost like they win and then they move on. It's like they forget.
Oh no, we had Said Musa in Belize City, engaging with them and supporting them because I convinced them and everyone else that says, look, this is not a political movement.
Right.
The consortium is not a political movement at all. You know, personally, I'm not here only for PUP. I'm here for everybody. When Neighbor broke off with Mr. Golson and Sharon Pitts and several other people, yeah, they came to Los Angeles. They came to me and they asked me, Ernesto, we really need people to see what's going on. Would you be willing? We know you're a counselor for the People's United Party. Say, but would you be our master of ceremonies, introduce us and just give us some status, you know?
I put up a little bit. Because you look like you kind of hype. So, you know.
So I told them, yes, yeah, of course. And I gave Neighbor a lot of exposure and again, that was shown down in Belize. Maybe not shown because back then we didn't really have videos and all those stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, let me get to this one part now. The part that you asked me, the demise of the consortium. So we were going to have a general meeting of the consortium in 93. And so it's going to be in Los Angeles, right? But the way the consortium is structured, every 3 years you have to get renew your membership.
Right.
And the executive board members are the ones that will vote you in. So I was no problem getting voted in because everybody from the consortium used to like me a lot, you know. and they said, we're gonna have to pick a new president. And they were coming at me that says, look, we want you to be the president. You want you to be the president. And they knew about the project I wanted to work on at Rockville.
Right.
And so Neville Lisby decided he wanted to be the president too. So there was a big campaign going on, but Neville was behind by a landslide. It was not even close. And so the day of the elections at the general meeting, we all came together, and everybody said, Ernesto, you ready? I say, yeah. So as we all got ready to start the meeting, next thing you know, it's like 3 busload people.
Then the vote like believes like they're bringing the vote.
Three busload of people started walking in, and they were filling up the room. I said, what? Who are they? Everybody was asking the president,
The
who are they?
people.
Coup d'etat.
Who are they? Over 100 people. Now,
We know
A coup d'etat is about to begin, Aria.
a coup d'etat. Exactly what happened. So,
what?
so listen to this. Myself, Dr. Bennett, and Verona Burke were up for
Re-election.
renewal, right? For renewal to the board, and they said, okay, they brought all these people in, and next thing you know, I heard Neville Lisby and Roland York said, all these people want to register. Everybody want to register right now, and
to vote
yeah,
in this election.
so they all registered.
For Chicago or Florida, right? We don't say.
Yeah,
How far across the border about that?
people never seen the consortium, don't know anything about it.
Oh my God.
So they came, and they all registered, and they told them, they all, did this together. They said, we want you to vote for these 3 people in their crowd, right, from their midst. Vote for these 3 people. And when the voting started, and they started counting everything, because it was kind of like silent ballot, right? They just opened it and counted.
Right.
And some people came to me, Ernesto, you're not going to win. And I told Mr. Bennett the same thing. He said, you're not going to win. You're not going to be an executive board member. That means you're going to be ineligible for the presidency. So they came and they counted the vote, and they had 3 new board members that never heard a word of the consortium ever before. And now we're not members of the board anymore.
And you guys were really the bloodline for it. So
and
if
so
you're not invested, it just falls apart.
right. So we had to leave. Me, Dr. Bennett. You know Dr. Bennett, or you probably heard about him.
I know. I went to school with his daughter.
Yeah, he was a brilliant man.
His son lived here in Tampa. I want to say that.
And
Yeah.
Verona, so we couldn't go in. And then they asked for nominations for president. And somebody nominated me, right? And they said, no, he's not eligible, unfortunately. So they nominated Neville Lisby. And they said, there's no contestant, there's no contest. So Neville Lisby is now the president.
See how, and I just want to say this as a country, we are Belizeans. You have something that's good and it works and people see value in it. And then suddenly we feel the need to undermine it and destroy it. I
Right.
don't know what it is about us as a people, but it seems to play out in every single thing that we get involved with. If it starts,
Yeah.
it's too much, what happened? You'd have too much influence.
Yeah.
And they
So,
don't want that.
and I was voted that same year at the same banquet as the top most valuable consortium member. I got a big award.
Just not
big
good
plaque.
enough to be on the board.
So
Coup d'etat.
shortly after they elected the president, Roland York passed by me and he said, Ernesto, I would have been damned if I would have let you win that presidency again. You took CBA, you took the consortium, you took the consul general, you now and take the consortium for Belizean
payback.
presidency,
You
So
know,
I
it's
said,
funny
okay.
because if you're in the United States, when you see somebody dynamic, you try push that person, get that person go further your cause.
Yeah.
But in these, when we see somebody dynamic, We go out and we wait for out the light. I can't. Somebody said a crab in the bucket mentality.
Robin the Barrel
I don't think
mentality.
that. I just think we compete in very negative ways. Like we got this the snake, the eat the tail type mentality for everything has to be competitive. And
Yeah.
like our consortium where they do good work, that's not my thing. You know, I don't like you they yeah, well, they see your influence and you got change up on election, so they have to put you cut down your bridges, you know.
Right. They say that's the only way they're gonna get me. And that's only a couple of people, just Roland and Neville Lisby, right?
Right. So
Because
you started then the PUP be a pop
yeah,
group. So tell us
yeah.
about that. Like how many people joined that
We
movement?
had we had about 24 people in that group, very vibrant. Everybody was just excited. They we're inactive right now. We're inactive, but I can call people on
Wait.
top
No. You
people.
need to let's re-examine that comment.
Yeah, but
You
I
said
don't want to.
you said we're inactive right now. Does that mean that there's a plan to reactivate this group?
No,
I don't know, Ernesto. Smile, pan, I know.
no. I don't think I
I'm
will
not
because
believing you.
yeah, there's too much bigger things going on right now. And
But
so and
I
so
think
what happened with this one final thing? What happened is after that presidency, the coup d'etat, it was stolen
coup
and
d'etat.
they took us out. All the leaders started dropping out, dropping out,
Yeah.
dropping out, and it died right there with Neville Lisby. It
Because you
died
know
right
the
there.
one that to do all the work. Anytime you're in a group and
It
you to
died.
do the work,
That was
you
the
think,
demise of the
yeah.
consortium right there. And then, unfortunately, God bless his soul, he was a good friend of mine, but he died a few years
Oh,
after that. But that was
All of those people just died out, man.
a lot of
Already you
them.
are like the only living, you and Verona are like the only living member of the Consortium for Belizean Development, would you say?
We have a very
oh
dynamic guy. We have a very
wasn't
dynamic
Usher?
guy. Hmm?
Wasn't the guy Usher involved though? That
Yes, I
in
was just
Canada?
about to tell you. We have a very
Yeah, he's
dynamic
still
guy
alive.
in London, Ontario, Harry Usher. Harry
Yes.
Usher was great. He's
Yes,
he's
yes.
right now an honorary council, and he was also a city council member in London,
Yeah,
Ontario.
in Canada. Yeah.
So yeah, so he was pretty active, but that was the demise of the consortium. You know?
So what happened to this spirit that Belizeans have? I feel like did it all get transferred to the diaspora? Like this sense of organization and this sense of giving back? Because I just feel like we have evolved into a society of gimme. And
Yeah,
I feel like somebody said it the other day, and I don't want to say that's true, but it's almost like the diaspora has turned somewhat into a safety net for a lot of things in Belize, and yet we haven't moved towards political involvement. Yes, we
right.
people talk and they raise issues of
Yeah,
concern, and I think a lot of Belizeans, I've calling even my family members on this. We left with a lot of serious issues for the diaspora address, and the excuse is always, well, I have to live the Belize and I have to. Well, my pushback is, but you have to live that Belize. So you should want to live in an environment that is equitable and that's fair and safe and everything else and corruption free and all this stuff there. Where do you see, so I have some exciting news for me and I want to hear it. Where do you see, recently we had the Belize Diaspora Summit, right? And
right.
we had very good participation with the government and the opposition. But
Yes.
my question is, why the diaspora shouldn't be a spot that they come shake hand, kiss babies, ask for influence, but unwilling to kind of bring us truly into the fold and make us a dynamic country because Belizeans are dynamic people. They are. If they're in their home, then they're abroad. Belizeans enter that at different spaces and they do well because we come from a good background and we come from a family background where a lot of us are related by blood or marriage or friendship or classmates. And a lot of us maintain those things over the years. But what is your involvement today with the government?
At this time, I've been observing and listening, and I haven't really been participating in anything, but I haven't taken my eyes off of what's going on. And I would like to address some of the issues, you know. And the first thing people keep saying, we need to get people to register. We need to know how many people are over here, but nobody's doing anything.
Right.
See? Now to register people, how do you go about doing that? And what's involved in it? How do you make registering attractive, and how do you make it so that when people want to join it, they have benefits that they can get, privileges. And I have some ideas.
That answer is easy. If I can apply for a passport and get my passport here, why can't I be registered here too?
Well,
that's not an impossible task to me.
No, it's not.
When government tells me about obstacles, and I see that in other areas there it's easy, it's not really an obstacle. It's really a lack of really wanting to do it.
We're not being proactive and take the necessary steps to make those very simple things happen.
Right. But then politicians then are like, what, cheating boyfriend, sweet
Okay.
Yeah.
This is my idea, right?
Okay.
So I know we have the politicians.
I use a serious analogy there, cheating boyfriend.
Yeah. I know we have the politicians involved. I know we had the opposition leader, we had Karim, we had the prime minister, we had a lot of people, and everybody talking.
But at least two politicians said that they are okay with us voting or getting a seat in the Senate. We have them on record. We have Karim and we have Shine.
Okay.
The rest haven't committed, but
right.
I'm just saying, right.
But ARIA and Bilal, we cannot wait for that to happen. There's things that we need to do now. For example, do we have a website for the diaspora?
We do, but it's not well developed.
Okay, it needs to be developed. 2, it needs to be accessible to all Belizeans, because that's where you can register to be a member of the diaspora.
Right.
And it should be email driven, because way back we used to use name and addresses, and people change name and addresses, and they change phone numbers like crazy. But once you have an email, that email stays with you no matter
or a
where
telephone text, a text. People don't normally change their numbers.
No. So it needs to be email driven. We should have a lot of fields on it, to the name, your address, your gender, children, how many children do you have? Because not the children may not be able to register, but for us to get a sort of a good percentage of people here, if somebody registers and they have 4 children, we already know that they're Belizeans, right?
Well, it goes to grandchildren, so it should be how many children and grandchildren.
And grandchildren, exactly.
Right.
And so we need to register these people. Now, that could be called a classic registration. We can have a premium registration whereby someone would maybe pay maybe $50 a year to get premium benefits. When you go to Belize, you can have a diaspora line or a diaspora. Like when you go to the airport, the Belizeans, foreigners. But when you go to get passport, birth certificate, anything, if you have a card, an ID card that says premium diaspora, it should serve you right away. If you
Lord, I know that's a great idea, but Lord,
I'm telling you, that's something we need to work towards. We can't wait for the senator and the.
No, I agree. I 100%. You cannot.
Good point, Ernie. Very good point. Excellent. Excellent.
Now,
point.
Here's something else.
So, Ernesto, I want to go Florida so we could have a steak dinner and I add some seafood so that we can plan this registration. You know what I mean? Because I think it's all right.
Yeah. Here's another exciting point. Once you get all these people registered, we can do our own polls. We can have the diaspora voice. Says, say for example, the ICJ. Now you can each person can go to their record and ask, do you want to go to the ICJ? Yes or no. They may come
Right.
up and said, 65% of the diaspora says yes, let's go to the ICJ. The next 35 says no. Okay, well you heard the voice of the diaspora, so we can influence
Right.
people in Belize by our polling. We can do that immediately. We don't have to wait for no government approval to do that.
I like this idea. The only thing is with it is, and I know politicians will, if any database that you start doing, politicians will become attracted to it. But to me, having an opinion of an issue, we should, without a doubt, immediately start asking them to appoint us a senator.
Yeah. But
Because,
that's the next step. They need to see us doing something.
but they're suing.
Yes, because already, they keep on saying.
Wait,
I think Ernesto
there's
have.
boxes
Let me
and
say this.
every day
Yeah.
they see us doing so. Right now, back to school. Do you
Yeah.
know how many drives they're having in the U.S. for back to school? When the city councilor, Belize City Council came and they had a desk, the young lady, Miss Mel, she was able to garner hundreds of bags because somebody wanted to give back to the city, and that was one of probably 50 different groups that are doing this.
Yeah.
So
Steve,
all I'm saying is that they can't say they're not seeing us doing stuff because there's medical missions that are going on. They have if you look at Ladyville highlights, most of his stuff is coming in from the diaspora when they help families that have some medical issue or need. There was even one group that I saw help somebody build a house. So that's what I'm saying. Like Belizeans are doing things, they know it. Then they write that the port when they see the boxes, the piling. In fact, one of the shippers showed a picture of the shipping that was going to Belize from the diaspora, and it was a warehouse full up to the ceiling of stuff going in. All of them things are creating safety nets for families so that these families are not driven into poverty and demise. So we are doing stuff, and I think the government really should recognize it, recognize that for the most part, the diaspora doesn't care about the little petty politics. The red and the blue, well, California might be different, let me first say it. But I feel like
we don't know.
I feel like the younger people in the diaspora, they're not as engaged in the red and the blue politics as maybe the older
They
generation
need
are.
services,
Right,
when
right.
they go home, they want services. No, like my friend.
And I just want to add. I just want to add that Aria, a very good point. I mean, that's the strength right there. They cannot bypass that. But I think
not at all.
Ernesto is saying that we need to compile that data.
I agree. I agree.
That Kareem Musa keeps saying to us at the summit, putting the ball back in our camp. We don't even know how much I want to in the diaspora.
Well, how about
I
they
like
carry me
Ernesto
for a
being an
steak?
IT guy.
How about they carry me for a steak dinner, provide me to a budget, and I can help them find out what it is, because that's really what it's going to take. It's going to take time, money, and a budget for make somebody could be able to go out there and compile all this data that they claim they want.
But I also think we need to know how.
ARIA,
We need to know how.
The way they'll do this is, let me take an example. Our mayor in Belize City, right? Bernard. So he said that a lot of Belizeans out here in the U.S. owe a lot of taxes and they're not paying, and the city can use, taxes. So what he decided to do, that they're gonna build a program where the diaspora out here can have immediate access and pay online, pay immediately. So what we need to do also is to have high tech.
I'm so happy you brought that up, because, and I'm going to push government back on this. Belize have a very convoluted system where if somebody passed away without a will, it takes about 10 years for settle that estate.
Right.
And by the time it's settled, somebody else passed away, and it is a what we call it here the clouded titles. So what happened is you have one house where the mother had 10 kids and nobody really necessarily want to live there, but they know I lose out on their claim to it. And so what happens is nobody want to pay the taxes because nobody owns it. And I'm telling this from just personal experience. This is me personally experienced. When you have a system that is so difficult to get things done and it's so convoluted, the government loses out on its taxes.
Yes.
Without a doubt. Right now, I'm working with a developer. You can't even get the dang people for create the tax accounts. You would think government would want taxes, but it's difficult to get things done. And so what happened is things sit for years. Government not to collect taxes, and so what happens? Government forced for borrow.
I've seen it
There is
happen.
a solution. There is a solution because I work with many counties within the United States. Florida have very similar laws like Belize, because Florida laws very common with the common law like Belize. What Florida has done is, and I've suggested this to the mayor, tell her I'm open to a steak dinner and one job. Anyway, what the United States have done is when you owe your taxes, they create tax certificates. And so anybody could pay your tax for you. And they pay you there is a percentage that's added, so that like one savings bond. So what the person want to do, they want to see you owe taxes and say you Ernesto never pay your tax. I want to pay your taxes for this year. When the person ready for paying their taxes, they have to pay a penalty. And that penalty is the money I make. So the penalty is what I get paid. And
your investment
then the city gets its taxes. After 3 years in Florida, if you not pay your taxes for 3 years, that person where they pay your taxes on your behalf could go to the city and say, I want a tax deed sale. I have been paying taxes for 3 years. This person isn't interested. So the city issues a tax deed sale. The person can come and pay all his taxes and all the penalties. The person will pay taxes on his behalf, get back the money with interest, so that like one savings, and it's normally higher than what the bank is paying. Or if nobody show up for the taxes, they advertise it for a public sale and they sell it to the highest bidder. You, the taxpayer, gets paid your penalties and stuff. The city gets to get rid of a tax, somebody who is not interested in taxes. When people know that they have to really pay their taxes, they are paying their tax.
Yeah, pay.
Yes, but if there's nothing that forces you to pay your taxes, they're not paying their tax. Why I want to pay my tax if there's no fear? And somebody tell me I'm too, ARIA, you're too Americanized. I tell her no, this is how cities are able to always have taxes paid. And then you don't have to complain because somebody will either pay your tax, they want to sell your property, or you have to pay your tax. Now, a simple solution, many states in the US do it, and it is something that guarantees that the city always gets paid. It is not hard. We just have to write the right legislation. But what happened, I believe, everything that politics. Somebody going to the minister and they say, oh my gosh, I know I don't pay my taxes for 10 years, but blah, blah. Some sad story, and because we're so political, instead of make the city do what it's supposed to do, the politician interferes. So they have to write the laws in a way that a politician cannot overstep and take it, and the city won't get paid. We just have to serious, like nothing we're going to believe the world has not seen. Nothing. If the country had crime, then our country will deal with it. If we had, Belize can figure itself out if we're serious. I just want to figure we in the diaspora out. I want them to involve us in more than just hey, come campaign and come be an influencer. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It was a
doing
real
them favors.
right.
Yeah. So, um, what do you think about the idea where I said we have like premium members and they pay an annual fee and you can have a whole lot of those because there's benefits that comes with it and believes maybe they can even get like AAA, you can even get discounts at different um,
I would
resorts and things.
I would pay
So
for it.
and then we would have money coming into the diaspora to do stuff, to do operating money,
Right,
especially to build that website, to build the database, you know, to fully think. Once that database is filled in, it's there.
right,
It can produce all kinds of reports. You can have a mock election. You see election coming up. You can ask the people who you think gonna win,
yeah,
PUP, UDP, and see what the diaspora voice say.
right.
Same thing with polls regarding issues regarding the maritime agreement. You know, we can do that. So it's incumbent upon us to get that database, get a proficient programmer that can program in these same languages today. The same, maybe someone that works with the government, that the government be doing a whole lot in programming stuff, in
Right.
designing programs. And so Mia is doing the same thing too. He has plans. I don't know how long it's going to take, but it sounds good. And so we also need to take that step. So whoever the consortium that the diaspora people are that make those decisions, just let them know that is one of the highest priority that should be addressed. You
And you
know,
know this, I went to Chicago for their Belize Day. Uh, was it earlier this month? And I
yeah,
was very shocked at how many Belizeans showed up at their event. There must have been at least 4,000
yeah,
Belizeans. And it was an ideal opportunity to me to get into the crowd, which I didn't do because I didn't even anticipate that crowd, to be honest. And I did other stuff. But
yeah,
what I saw was a lost opportunity. Like everybody that comes through that gate, there should be a way to capture their information. And you could do that with a QR code or something.
yep,
But to me, that is like that is an opportunity to capture people early. You have one entrance and then you got registration desk. To me, one registration desk should be at every entrance. The next big event is the New York one. I'm going to that one too. But I really think that Belizeans really have to decide as a people where do we want to be 5, 10 years. It cannot just be with a jump up all the time. It has to be something more substantial that we can see our children and our grandchildren benefiting from, where they say, oh, I'm a Belizean, and that means something substantial. We have Belizeans in some of the most prestigious universities, hospitals all over the world. They well placed, and we have not created one network where somebody want to study. Hey, you're going to California. These are the contact people. They know how you get. We supposed to already, and this, by the way, this is what my professor told me at USF when I did my MPA. He said, Aria, do you realize how many Belizeans are at the University of South Florida? Why are you guys not organized? That's what he told me. Why are you guys? When I was initially going, we did have a student group. But to have so many Belizeans coming from Belize into a university, somebody should have already sat with the president and say, man, we to give your university so many blah, blah, blah. We have all these prestigious students.
yeah,
We need some sort of some scholarship that we
yeah,
can do because they do it for Latin America, and I
right.
direct them to do it, where
They,
you can get in-state tuition or you get some benefit, or here's a book grant, or listen, you get some. To me, those are ways that as one community we can build our people up. Medical
yeah,
also. I have gone to, when I was a student, there was this little boy that lost his leg, and a bunch of us as students went to visit him at the hospital. That was so many years ago. But you should have seen that kid light up, seeing that Belizean just showed up at the hospital. But the family benefited from somebody knowing somebody at that children's hospital that gave that child a break to be there. Well, we have during COVID, channel, was it channel 7 or 5, highlighted how many Belizeans were doctors or RNs or high level nurses or specialty stuff. After COVID, I'm like, why didn't we create one network where we could improve our medical care, where we don't have to borrow $90 million for build one hospital because we have the experts here. We have doctors, and I have a couple of them, whether my friends, that actually go to Belize and do medical missions to Belize. And so it's a lot of disorganized efforts, but the country is benefiting from it because you have the, what is it, 10% of GDP that's coming in
At least
as
10%.
remittances only.
Yeah.
What that we don't even know what that the real impact when
It's more than 10%.
Yeah.
Because if you
Ari,
if you go
let's
to those
bring in,
western,
and Ari, let's go to break, and then when we come back, I think Harlan has signaled the break.
No, I think no, because we only have 7 more minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so,
We went right through.
yes.
if you
So
Okay.
if you
Carry
go
on.
to those Western Union lines and those MoneyGrams, you will see how long those lines are every day.
yeah, but think
Oh,
about
yeah.
credit cards where people send, and I
Zelle.
send
Now,
them
now we're using
send credit
Zelle.
cards to be, yes. So to me, it's like we have an opportunity for really, and always my comparison is always the Jews that came over as a disenfranchised people from Europe. But when within for the network in the United States, then one of the most powerful lobbying group. They created, they have a very intricate system where they help train their people. They stand up for their people. So we might be very against some of their policies and stuff, but I'll tell you, because they have formed such a tight knit slash lobby group, nobody really mess with them. And I feel like Belize, even though we're a tiny country, we have pockets of Belizeans that can actually lobby some of these politicians to do things on our behalf. Like look at California. California only have the mayor that knows that Belize are one of the largest communities, immigrant communities there. I'm sure Chicago is similar, but I feel like with a lot of groups, that the same thing you described, you come in dynamic, you have all this stuff, you create all this change and so, and then the minute you move away from it, it dies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't have the continuation. You see
Right.
from kind of politics, you see rises of great leaders within the political parties, and then it falls because
Yeah.
if the next person isn't like that, it's not self-sustaining. So what is the formula for continuation? That's just my question. How do we as a people create continuation for development? Because I could start this, you could start this, Bilal could start this, because this is something we're passionate about. But how do we continue it? How do we get other people involved for make they have the same passion, and then eventually, like, we have to build things that people will take over. And I think what we did at Belize, we build things for make, oh, I run it. Like an American pointed out this to me. He said, what is it about Belize and all their Presidents for Life organization? And it's so true.
That's what happened. That's what happened to Concerned Belizean Association,
Yes.
Heritage, the consortium. There was no one else there to
Yes. Instead of like one
fight
president
for
and the minute the
leadership.
president
So it
walks,
just
oh, that's
stays
it.
right. All the organizations died the same time.
Yep.
The very same
Because
time.
because
You
if
know?
you're not involved, that's it.
Yeah. And two objectives I'd like to see done would be before the next general election, which is soon, maybe a year or less. I'd like to see the database up and running. You're not going to have everyone on it, but you will continuously be updating. There will
Right.
never be a end of updating. Once you put your email in, you can't change it. The only thing you can do is change your address or change your phone
Right.
number. That's it.
Right.
Now, the other thing I'd like to see done by the next general election is have at least a senator.
I agree.
Set goals, set time frame, and just says we need these two goals to be top priority.
Right.
And let everyone know, by the next election, we have to have a senator appointed, and no matter which party.
But I don't think people be partisan. Just let the diaspora vote. Let people be nominated. Let the diaspora vote, and this is who would put up as senator. If you want to vote, join the group. If you want to vote, sign up. Make everybody vote.
But when I said doesn't matter which party, what I meant was doesn't matter who's in government, they will make it pass.
Right. And that's the thing with you have to get these politicians committed. And you're right, the numbers play a role. Numbers are very important.
But if we get it started, we got to get it started. They got to see that.
Are you going to the New York? Are you going to the New York event?
When is it?
It's September 7th.
Park Fest. Mm-hmm. The usual annual Park Fest in New York.
Let me think about it. I mean, I know it's a big deal every year,
Yeah.
Have you gone before? Have you been there before?
I've never been there before.
Okay.
I've been
Bilal,
to Florida.
you want to be there, Bilal? Bilal,
Probably
you
will.
look sleepy, and it's early, I believe. So I don't know why you look sleepy.
Not really. I just enjoy the conversation. And
they work
very
his brain
engaging.
out.
I know.
I just got a message from Nur Muhammad, the producer, who says, very engaging conversation. We need to let Ernie carry on.
No, I like the idea. I do. I think it's something that can be developed. I think if you develop it, I think you should do like one test run and see if data, because the only thing people always interested in, what are you going to do with my data, right? And so they have to that's always
there's nothing personal in there. We're not asking for bank account. We're not asking for social security. We're not asking for any of those.
One of the things I want you to touch on before you go, because you skip right over it, is that outstanding and historic visit of George Caleb Price to the Los Angeles Belizean community in 1992 when you were the general.
What do you think was his thoughts about the diaspora?
You're right, and joining with Brother B, the progressive, I would go on record to say that you were the most progressive Belize Consul General that Belize ever had. I mean, very, very progressive, because you did big things, bro. Talk about that.
I was there for everyone. I was bringing organizations together. I made sure we bring in the different groups to entertain, to perform, keep the culture alive. Dana Martinez used to come and dance, and with her group. We had Bella Carib.
I think we did have a couple of
what Mr. Price thought about it, he was impressed because of all the Belize and how everybody loved him. They all surrounded him. He called the babies. He went through the Key Fest, thousands and thousands of people. And it just so happened, ARIA, that the Key Fest was on that air, right? So I talked to them and I said, look, there's a big Key Fest on here. There would be nothing bigger or more dynamic if you guys would come to the Key Fest, walk through it, meet the people, give speeches, and there was a crowd following him, because he was a celebrity.
Right.
There were crowds following him everywhere. Everywhere you go, you see all these crowds, and it was so peaceful, very peaceful. We went to City Hall. We met Tom Bradley, the mayor. He was great. We went to I engaged with the Brother organization, and we organized for them to have them go to Manual Arts High School, and that was really good.
Those historic pictures you saw, Aria, that you were asking him about. That's where those pictures.
And they were on the radio. We had a radio station here for a very long time, from early days. We had the Belizean radio station here in LA, and Bilal was one of the hosts, and Catus, Clarence Catus.
It was a Brother
Marita
production.
Espejo, you remember Marita Espejo? Pam. yeah, Pam Reyes. We had so many, and I was on the station a lot as a guest, right? And I always get excited, especially when we're promoting something, you know.
Ernie, I also remember
We-
when you came, I don't know if it was the 1998 general election. No, you were consul general, I think it's 1993. You were like one of the first, Aria, listen to this. In the campaigns, you know, you have the public meetings, which I don't see much going on now with these political campaigns.
Yeah,
Speaking from the rostrums and these huge crowd Belizeans, that's a tradition that they
it is, and people should love
was.
it.
Ernesto was the person to bring out a big screen, TV where Musa and everybody is talking, and you could see them on that big screen. Talk about that, because that was
But we
that
have to
was
talk about it quick because Harlan the kick
Yeah,
went
I
already.
mean,
So please.
that was effective.
Yeah,
You know,
that was, you know, the high tech was already coming, and we were already involved with it, and we were lucky enough to be able to use it, and it was very, very effective, you know.
Nice.
And so,
You need to write out. You seriously have history that I think that you should write down and
you need to
share
put
it.
the
And I
book.
think, because I think,
Ernesto Castillo.
yeah,
What
because
was
I
the name
didn't
of the
even know you
organization?
were so involved.
Aria, I used to work on Saturdays. I opened on Saturdays because I knew a lot of people go to work during the week and couldn't
Right.
make it during the week. So I open on Saturdays. You ever hear any consul general or
Yeah,
any
because the general office over
open on Saturdays?
Right.
You can barely get a phone call and get in and talk to someone.
Yeah, that's true.
People are still calling me today asking me, who is the consul? Where are they? How do I
Yeah.
get a passport? How do, you know, people are still calling me today and asking me those things, and I'm
And
happy.
I'll be honest, I think when the government showed up, people were excited. A lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
people got their things completed. It was a big deal. And I think that government need to realize that Belizeans over here need services. They need
Right.
services. They really should have a consulate general in every pocket that you have a body of Belizeans. Because Florida, for example, like California, it's a pretty big state. So when you only have one consulate general in our area, it's very difficult for people drive 4 or 5 hours, make one appointment.
Yeah.
You have Tampa, you have Jacksonville, you have same thing with California. Belizeans live in pockets in different places, and they should do that analysis
Yeah.
and create services for Belizeans because we need it. We need the services. I would love to make my kids be Belizean and my grandson be one lead Belizean.
Yeah.
When I got time for organize that, I can't drive to Miami over. You know what I mean? So, and you're right. Nobody else open on weekends. So, with the work of the week and
Yeah.
but
I
we
had some
need to
people
bring
call me.
you. We need to bring you back because I never realized you so
Yeah, we
excited.
gotta have part 2 of Ernesto Castillo
Yes,
and be a pup.
be a pup.
Be a pup.
I
be
like
a
that
pup.
one, Ernie.
But
So
I just want to say that I'm not your typical PUP. I am willing to help any side as long as I help the Belizean people. I want to
right.
be progressive. I want things get done. I want us to uplift each other. And so I
Yeah.
don't have any animosity against any party.
Because it
And
not
I'm willing.
affects us the same way. It
Yeah.
really doesn't. But I want to thank you so much for coming on. I completely enjoyed this because I love politics on all levels. I really enjoyed your participation. And you definitely have to come back. And maybe you could meet us in New York. You're the car, right, Bilal?
We'll see how it goes.
Okay, let's see, because at least we have a little time, you
Yes.
know.
Yes, you have.
So it's whenever there's a major
Belize
diaspora event going on or so,
and
you know,
there's at least four.
invite me, at least I can come and
Yeah, there's at least 4. There's New York, then Miami is going to have Carnival, and there's a lot of Belizean events. New
Yeah.
York again has a big event in December. So, I mean, these are things that we can actually get organizers to reach out to their people and ask them to join this database. But you're the programmer, you're the expert, you should come up with the program. Make it easy for people because if people can easily access it, they'll do it.
it has to be easy, it has to be
Yeah.
simple.
If
But
it's
you see,
complicated, people will not sign up.
No. My programming days were all IBM mainframe system. I used to program for manufacturing companies,
Right.
distribution, insurance, design screens, all kind of. I used to do those things, right? Today's programming and the high tech, the Microsoft, all those Apples and things.
But Microsoft
I
makes
don't
it
do those.
easy with access, and they make it for people who are no programmers. So somebody just have to be like one designer who come
But
in
a
and-
very no, I can help them design
right.
the flow chart of the program. But
Yeah.
I used to do that, right? But
Okay.
as far as the actual coding, you need
Yeah.
a proficient person that's been to school to do that, like that's doing it like for
A
you
living.
know, like
Okay,
Bernard.
I have to. I know Harlan must say a cut we off very shortly. Thank you so much for coming on, Harlan. Thank you for your patience. XTV for giving us a space every single week. Thank you guys for joining us. Noor Mohammed, producer. Bilal, my co-host in Belize. Bilal look tired, man. Bilal. Smile,
You had a
man.
long day. I
He
just want to say hello to Nuri.
It was a long
Nuri,
day.
bro.
Yes, indeed.
He enjoyed
Say hello
the
to
meet
you.
so much, man. I'm jealous. So your last words, Ernesto, and then we're going to sign off.
The diaspora is not replacing the consortium. What the diaspora is doing is continuing what the consortium was supposed to do. Now, with the change of the, with the technology, with the change of everything that's going on, there's a more high level way of doing things, and the diaspora today is much more informed, much more technically capable, I believe, of continuing the work. And let's continue it. I want to push it. I want to push, let's get the database done, and let's push the at least the senatorship. We can
Yes.
get that done.
Good.
The representative is that has more logistics involved with that,
Right,
change a lot,
right.
all kind of stuff, and which area they are represent and all that stuff. So, but if we can do the senator, get a senator by not this election, but the next one, and get this,
That could be the last act before the election.
right,
And then put them in place.
yeah, and get this, we just need to hire some people. I could work with them and set up the flow, what
Okay.
to do, because they will need direction on what to do. They
Right.
may have all the skills to program and design screen and updating and all that stuff, but they need to know what to do, how to change updates on each person file. Each person should be able to update their own name and address. But with email, you cannot have duplicates.
Right.
You can't have duplicate records. So that's one way of saving, Back in the old days with labels, we used to have duplicates. That people would move and they'd have like 3 addresses, right?
Right. So with that being said, we're going to say good night. And
Thank you.
again, we have to set another time for you to come back because it's very interesting and there's a lot of building that you are involved with. So thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Good night,
Ernesto.
Bilal.
Right.
Yeah, there's a whole lot more.
Sure.
I am a true Belizean.
Tell them that we born there.
Belize my home, my native land.
Tell them that we born there.
I want you people to understand.
Tell them that we born there.
I am proud to be a Belizean.